Welcome to the Americana Bistro Grill. I'm your host, Roberto Alvarez-Galloso, serving you the best in Americana music, which is country and rock. We have a special guest whose music I've heard many times, and I've wanted to get them invited to my interviews, and right now, finally I did it. Their name is Sugarcane Jane, and they have a new album, and I just want to ask them about their albums and their career. I want to say hi to RCP27 and Nella McGo. Thanks for visiting, and we're going to see if we could get Sugarcane Jane to come. 1 minute, let me see if I could get them. Sugarcane Jane. Nope, not there. Let me try another word. Let me try another avenue here. Hello, Sandy Cowgirl. Just let me try something here to see if I could get Sugarcane Jane. Okay, I got Sugarcane Jane right here. Okay, I got them here, and I'm also going to see if I could invite them. Let me see. Because they have an interesting story, and I'm also going to give some interesting stories on my part too. Let me see if I could get them. 1 minute. Okay, let us invite. We're going to add you here. And thanks for coming. Hello, Diana Carlin. Thanks for coming in and visit. And Sugarcane Jane, we're just waiting for you to come in and see if we're waiting for you right now. Thanks, Diana. Thanks, Diana, for coming in and visiting us here in Florida. I'm just waiting for Sugarcane Jane. Somehow I'm gonna get this Instagram thing really. I'm gonna get this Instagram thing straightened out. Oh no. Okay, back again. We're waiting. We're waiting for Sugarcane Jane. Okay, we're waiting for you. We're just waiting for you right now so that you could appear. For the time being, I just wanted to bring up some other subjects before. I'm using the 3RG Miami t-shirt. 3RG Miami is a rock group. You can't unite. You have to be united. Let's try again. No. Let's try again. 1 minute. 1 minute, let's try again. Okay, we sent you. We are ready. And we have to invite you again. We're inviting you here. Okay. I'm inviting you right now. Something's wrong here. I'm going to see if I could try. Are you there, Sugarcane? Are you there? Let me see if I could try to meet you halfway. Let's try Facebook. Facebook Messenger. Okay. Check your settings. Great. Okay, thanks, Sugarcane Jane. Finally, we got everything straightened out. It's the Instagram Live.
Roberto, how are you?
Great. How's everything?
Good.
For me, it's a pleasure and an honor having you here.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Before I talk about myself, we're going to talk about you and your latest CD. But before that, I want to bring up one very big, interesting subject. This interesting subject is the thing about what constitutes an essential worker. Because we're having people saying, this is an essential employee or essential worker. This person is non-essential. I have this t-shirt of a rock group in Miami called 3RG Miami. There are many other rock groups in Miami. They have the same sound that you do, and they have the same sound that I appreciate. And they sort of have, and they sort of have a lot of logic, just like you have, and I have a lot of logic. This is 3RG Miami, a Spanish language rock group. There's other groups like Instant Karma, and also there's a 33 Years. They're from the South. Saints and Angels. The main singer, the main director was a Cuban called Rey Montecristo, and he had singers from Kentucky, Indiana, the whole bit. All essential. And I also think that you're essential. All musicians.
We think everyone who has a job or had a job is essential. You know, to tell anyone that their job is not essential it does not work for us. We have 3 kids to feed, and I'm sure everyone else has a reason for their job. So everybody's job is essential.
This is under also my heading, Silent No More, all artists are essential. All artists are essential. Country, rock, everyone is essential. Not the ones in Hollywood. The ones in Hollywood I can live without, and I've lived without them.
Get rid of.
And I've also flushed the ones from New York down the toilet.
Canceled. Out of here.
I canceled everyone. But I didn't want to cancel the true artists like Sugarcane Jane.
Well, we appreciate that.
And before we ask you about your music, I heard your videos. I saw your videos. I explored everything in your YouTube. Why is it that some people do not recognize you as Americana music when I hear you, you have that Americana feel. You have the country, you have the rock feel. You're down to earth. What is wrong with these people? Have they been taken over by Hollywood? Have they been taken over by New York? Have they been taken over by Mars?
Well,
all of the above.
Well, let me tell you what, the answer that you would get from our, I really don't like to say liberal friends, but just people who don't like to admit that our music's good enough to do that. But we get a lot of when people say, well, maybe your music's just not good enough. And it's like, well, maybe to you it isn't, but then, you know, we are Americana. We're a family. We write all our own music. We are engaging to people. We're entertaining. You know, we love people. We do that. I think that if you we're conservative people also. That's where the rub comes in for us, is that we have a Christian-based faith, and then we
support President Trump.
We support President Trump, you know, and you're supposed to be a liberal in the music business, I guess, because most liberal people that we used to know, they would say, well, maybe your music's not good enough. Have you ever thought about that? And I was like, well, that's typical of somebody like that to say that, but it has nothing to do with whether it's good enough or not. Obviously it is. We've made a living doing only music for 11 years, and I've been playing, you know, and toured with Neil Young and all those people like that. So I've had a lot of experience in the music business. So for somebody to say, well, maybe you're just not good enough, well, that's just a cop-out kind of answer to me. It's really, to me, about the fact that, like Hollywood, it's just controlled by more liberal-minded people, and I think that anybody can see that. You have actors who do not say that they are for Trump because they don't want to be blackballed. We came out and thought, well, we're going to just embrace the conservative crowd, and it has been the most unbelievable surge in our popularity, career. This new CD is selling way faster than anything we've ever done, because we came out and just told people, hey, we support this guy. Is he perfect? We don't know. But one thing is, the other bozo is certainly not an option for us, because it is so taken over by radicalism. We love America. We love the way that this is. You and I had a long conversation the other night.
Of course.
You've seen what happens to places when it starts doing this.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that later. Because we're gonna talk about your music, and we're gonna be talking about this later too, because Cuba, Venezuela, Spain, I haven't forgotten our conversation. the way I look at it, as a host of the Americana Bistro Grill, I have to be diverse, and I'm diverse in everything. What is diversity for me? Diversity for me is that every artist has a talent, and I give them an opportunity to show their talent. I may not agree with them, but I give them all the opportunities. I had in my show everyone from Satanists to even the extreme right, and the ones that I always end up loving, and I'm not going to deny it, are the ones who are God-fearing and who read the Bible. I'm a believer in God. I'm a believer in the Bible. And I believe that everything in the Bible is true. In fact, the Bible is not only an instruction manual for how to live, it's also a history book.
Exactly.
And the fact that, and I also think that everyone has a right to their music, regardless of who they are or what they are. That has been the main definition of the Americana Bistro Grill. We do not decide what is Americana music. Let me, 1 minute, just 1 minute. I just had to shut the door there. No one can define what is Americana music. Let the audience decide whether they like a singer or not. I've liked singers of all forms, except the ones who are Satanists and extreme right. And I heard all of your music, and I hear the things about it's not Americana enough, and I see the videos, and I hear the music. You are definitely Americana. There's no doubt about it. It's just the fact that there are some people who have sold their souls to Hollywood and to New York. And I'm not much of a, well, and let's be truthful. I am not a fan of Hollywood, and I am not a fan of New York. And I will give you more reasons about that first. But I want to talk about your album. What's the name of your album, and how did you get started with the album, and how can you reconcile your album that you recorded now with previous albums that you have recorded?
Ruffled Feathers, Songs in the Key of Me is the name of it. And it came about by being willing to come out. We made a conscious decision to tell people at this particular time we felt like whatever celebrity status, as limited as it is that we have 12, 13,000 people that know about us. We thought that what we could do is be a digital warrior for President Trump, because we needed to get out and encourage people to have the just to not be shut down. So we risked our career because we wanted to come out and support him. You can't find anybody that's really doing that. So we thought, well, let's do it. It was a great thing for us. The music came from, I knew that also the two most controversial things you could ever do was admit that you like Donald Trump and also tell people that you believe in Jesus, and that is something that we publicly came out and said. It's not a very popular topic, believe it or not, amongst the places that we've played music. Throughout the 11 years, we've never said anything about our faith or our politics for 11 years. It's not about our music right now, but the music came to me, and like I said, it was co-written by the Holy Spirit. I came out to my studio where I am right now, and I just felt a spirit, and I just quickly wrote the song, and I figured out, how do I get this to people right away? I don't want to wait for 2 months and let the spirit of it die. I want it to be immediate. So what I did was I came out, I wrote a song, I fully produced it. The song went from not even existing to being fully produced and out to people on Facebook within an hour and a half. And I did that 10 songs in a row. It was an amazing journey for me in Savannah. And so this CD means so much to us because the lyrics of it are spirit driven. A lot of the music we've done before were just songs that were either co-written by my co-writer friend Buzz Kaysen in Nashville, and they were just songs that are fun to listen to, and people loved us for our hillbilly kind of sound that we had. But I got my old guitar that I played with Neil Young and the International Harvesters and all those great years that I was able to play with him. I used that guitar and the amp, and I played the drums on it, the bass, and whatever. And it's very sparse, but it's powerful, and it's all spirit driven. So the music came out of taking the leap of faith to be public about who we support, because he's not getting any. The thing that bothered us was you would see Neil Young suing Donald Trump for using his song, the Rolling Stones suing Donald Trump for using his song, Jackass over here suing Donald Trump. You know, all these jackasses to me. I don't respect them. I don't care if they respect me. I'll go on record and say, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. It's not about a career. It's about saving this country from going down a road that's so radical by AOC, Ilhan Omar, and them other 2 or 4 or 6 people who have nothing but hatred towards this country. And it's funny how if you stand up for the flag and you know that, you get your ass whipped at one of these peaceful protests. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of that. So we're standing up for America. We're tapping into the conservative people, and we are giving them music
that they actually want to hear.
They want to hear it. And we're sick of being silenced by the liberal music business. We have been played on the radio quite a bit, so we're not claiming that they didn't play us. What we are claiming is that in 11 years, we've never been asked, or we've submitted and whatever. We've never been given one opportunity to play at an Americana conference. You know, all the people in different bands that we've been in, they're all Trump haters and whatever, but they get in because they're cool, because they hate Trump. If you hate Trump, you're going to go places in the music business. But if you stand up for him, you're out. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's not your opinion. It's a reality. It's a reality of life. You don't say it's your opinion. It's a reality. I'm also risking my show, allowing you to be in it, but I could have cared less, because for me, this is an issue of free speech and music. Everyone has a right to be heard in the Americana Bistro Grill, and the public has the right to decide. And this is based on my belief. I'm not conservative or liberal. I'm just a simple person who believes in God. I believe in the Bible. I believe in the American flag. And I also believe that we have to salute the national anthem. And even in sports, we have to salute the national anthem.
Stand up for it.
Other countries, this afternoon, right now I'm not even seeing sports here. I'm doing my sports in a country called Belarusia in Europe. Belarusia, they salute the national anthem. I was in China during the Olympics. They salute the national anthem. Could you imagine what would happen if in another country there was no salute to the national anthem? I don't want to imagine.
They had their head on a stick.
That's right. And after hearing your music, I wanted you to come on the air because your music deserved to be heard. Because what you're telling me that is pure Hollywood and pure New York. And it reminds me not of 2 countries, of 3 countries. And don't worry, we have a little bit more time on this because I'm also a Christian, independent evangelical Christian as well. So I'm not denying that I was a Catholic once, but since Catholicism went down the toilet, that's my expression.
Hey, I was raised Catholic, but ultimately I'm just an independent.
Yeah, I went independent. In fact, I don't follow Rome. I follow Nashville. The church that I have, the King's Chapel, plus Alpha and Omega. Those are the 2 churches I go to. They follow Nashville, Knoxville, and Joel Osteen in Houston.
That's right. Yeah.
And of course, being an independent Christian, I even did my own baptism. You're from Alabama. There was a pastor that I knew from Alabama. He and his wife was from Puerto Rico. He's like a psychologist, but he's a pastor, and he's a really great guy, and also has our opinions on the basics of life. He and his wife said, "What do you want for your birthday, Roberto?" I said, I want to be baptized. And I got baptized in Lake Wakiva. I didn't get baptized even in the church, because here baptisms in the churches have become circuses. Hey, welcome to the club. No, I wanted something solemn. So I went to Lake Wakiva, went in my blue jeans, my t-shirt. My wife was seeing from afar. I accepted Jesus Christ, and the rest is history. I'm also recording this just in case. But I was always saying about the three countries so that others can hear. What they're doing to you happened in Spain, happened in Cuba, and happened in Venezuela. I was not alive when Castro took over in Cuba. I was born in Ohio to Cuban parents. I was definitely not alive in Spain in the 1930s when they had something similar, and now they're repeating the process. Venezuela, I lived in Venezuela. I went to high school in Venezuela. But when I left Venezuela, almost 20 years after I left Venezuela, Venezuela started on the same road. And we're going to go to each one. From what I've been told, Spain was a monarchy until 1931, and it became a republic. With the republic, they started tearing down statues. They started burning convents. They killed nuns. They killed priests. Everything was increasing in power with the killings of anyone who even believed in God. This was going on from 1931 to 1936. Yet the Spanish Republic was considered a democracy. I'm not going to say that the king was a great person, because I'm not. The only king I know is Jesus Christ. But I do know is that, from what I've been told by distant relatives, things went from bad to worse in 1931 to 1936. And in 1936, a coalition of socialists, anarchists, communists, and Republicans took power. Sounds something similar like Portland and Seattle. But this is a central government. They started destroying more historical monuments, started killing more people. They even doused gasoline. And there was even an incident in Spain in which one militia person crucified a priest the same way that they crucified Jesus. The thing came to such a midpoint that some people were saying, we're not going to take this. We're not going to take this anymore. And a general called General Franco. I'm not going to say Franco was a saint, but he said enough is enough. And then he started an attempted coup, which became the Spanish Civil War. It was one of the bloodiest civil wars in Spain, with both sides killing each other. But the Republicans, even though they're going to deny it and they're going to blame Franco, they did a lot of killings, a lot of beatings, a lot of hurting. Many people had to leave Spain, if only to survive the Civil War. Then when Franco came in victorious, the communists left, but the others, they stayed. But I'm not going to say Franco was a saint, but he had to rebuild Spain. You had to do it. You had to be a dictator to rebuild a country. But the Republicans were really, really terrible. They even blackballed people who weren't in agreement with them. They did the blackball, and then they did the killing. That's how bad it was in Spain in the 1930s. Even to this day, I've had problems with descendants of Spanish Republicans who were born in America. We've had our big problems on differences. To this day, and we're talking about a civil war that happened in the 1930s. And now Spain is undergoing the same thing. The only difference is there's a king, but they're trying to screw him and try to do their own thing. They've already removed Franco's tomb from a place called Valle de los Caídos. They have already removed other historical tombs. They're even thinking about removing Christopher Columbus from Barcelona, the main plaza in Barcelona and the main plaza in Madrid. And they're trying to rename some names of previous streets. Right now, as we're talking, Cuba. I have relatives in Cuba. My parents left Cuba. They escaped from a communist country. They were not elite. They were not rich. None of my family members were ever rich. They were all either dirt poor peasants or they were professionals. And don't think being a lawyer in Cuba or being a lawyer or a physician in Spain or Cuba or Venezuela will generate the same prestige that it generated or generates in America. In America, which is so great, a physician and a lawyer can gain more money than in Spain, Cuba, or Venezuela. But there was enough to buy, to have a house and have decent clothes and have a car and even buy food. But what happens? You had Castro. Castro was one of my dad's classmates. You only had one law school. He already knew what was Castro. Castro wasn't even a communist. He was simply looking for communism as a way of to gain power.
Control.
He took power in 1959 and gradually took over the recording companies. He took over all the businesses. And this was a country that wasn't even pure capitalist. Cuba, before Castro, had experimented with communism because they had communism in some. They had the Communist Party in some of their coalition governments during their democratic years. And even Batista, who was supposedly a dictator, had communists in his government. What do you think? Inevitable. Everything was taken over. Every means of production, restaurants, churches, you name it, they were gradually taken over. Then gradually they removed they sent people to concentration camps. Yes, there were concentration camps.
Wow.
And this guy promised the sun, the moon, the stars, and everybody fell for it. Those that didn't fall for it left. Those that fell for it and are remaining, either they're supporting it or they're like grinding their teeth on, why did I do this? For what? For a misery. A Cuban can't not even go to a hotel in the same place that a tourist goes to. That's what I've been told, and that's what I've been shown in photos. I have photos of relatives in Cuba that are not living well. On the other side, I also have relatives in Cuba that are of the elite and living well. In other words, you have the very, very rich and the very, very poor.
Right.
And there was the same thing like you had. The same thing you had, the marginalization. If you weren't in agreement with me, you're my enemy. Try to get out when you can. There was even a rock star in Cuba, Luis Bravo. He was poised to be the Elvis Presley of Cuba. And his career got cut short with this guy taking over. He was able to make some records in Venezuela and in the United States, but his career could have taken off if this wouldn't happen.
Right.
But there were many. It was a total disaster. And then you had people dying in other countries for wars that didn't have anything to do with Cuba. You had people dying in Angola, Mozambique, Vietnam, Cambodia. Oh yes, there were Cuban troops in Vietnam and in Cambodia. You also had Cuban troops in Ethiopia and in Afghanistan during the Afghan wars of the 1980s. And all of this for what? Venezuela. I graduated from my high school in Venezuela. I am not going to give the name of the high school because I don't want anything happening to my alma mater. If something were to happen to my alma mater, I would probably be dying of a heart attack. But we had a great school. We had a great school. We even practiced democracy in our school. Name me any high school in which people like us could throw in the pool fully clothed our class president and the cabinet. That was democracy at its best.
Yeah.
I had the honor of doing the pool throwing. Name me a high school where the cheerleaders and the football players received the same dosage. There was another American school in Venezuela in Caracas. I was in Valencia. There was one in Caracas in which The tradition was throw the cheerleader fully clothed in the swimming pool. In other words, we practiced democracy. That was our way of practicing democracy. And Venezuela, unlike Cuba, Cuba was like a dictatorship because Batista did a military coup, although he ruled his government with communists. Venezuela was a functioning democracy. The Constitution of Venezuela limited the president to one term, and it could only do a re-election, waiting 10 years. There was food on the table in Cuba and in Venezuela. I remember seeing in Venezuela, and also I've seen pictures of Cuba before Castro. There was food on the table. I'm not going to say everything was so perfect. Nothing in the world is perfect. But there was food on the table. There was love and understanding. People got along. There was life. There was a sense of normal. What is normal? Food, clothing. There was plenty to buy. There was plenty to buy. What happened with Venezuela was they tried to mix socialism with democracy in their democratic experiment. They did that from 1950 to 1979. They had some companies that were totally under government control, such as the oil company, and also, if I'm not mistaken, the tourist industry was also half government and half Venezuelan private enterprise, but again, the people were chosen by the government. So you had this sort of thing, and then you had all the problems with the politicians and everything, and then people wanted to change. And then what happens? Chavez comes in and says, I can give you all the changes. Just give me your freedom. He took the Constitution that that only gave one term to presidents, and redid a constitution in which he guaranteed himself total re-election. He fixed the elections. He took over businesses. Anyone who didn't agree with him got the boot, or got out of a job, or got to jail. Statues were removed. Streets were changed, just like in Cuba, just like in Spain. Anyone opposed? Marginalized, out of a job, or dead, or exiled. And what else? And just simply give me a little of your freedom. Castro said it. Chavez said it. Even the Spanish Republicans said it. In the case of Spain, it took them 44 years to get everything back on track. After Franco died, everything was back on track. Cuba is now, from what I've been seeing in films and everything, it is not the tourist places that you will see from Hollywood saying, hey, I'm in Cuba, I'm in the Hotel Nacional, I'm having a piña colada. Forget that. There are only two Cubas, the one of the very rich and the very poor. And I have family on both sides. And none of them understand me, but I could care less. I am what I am. Venezuela, you know what it's like to go back to your photo albums and see the Venezuela that you remember, and then you see in the TV. They're not going to show it here in America, but I've seen it in other countries. You know what it's like to see your place where you enjoyed life. You had your time in school. You dated the cheerleader. You dated the jock, or you dated the fellow troublemaker, or you just simply enjoyed life playing basketball, bowling, or go to a restaurant and have a big pressure cooker of spaghetti with meatballs. You know what it's like to see all of that neighborhood go to waste. It is something that is terrible.
People don't think it can happen here, though. People don't think it can happen
I know,
here.
and you know it's the worst thing that could be. Me, born in Ohio to Cuban parents, I see the same thing with we're all Americans, but I'm saying on this certain group, the ones that were like me, born in America, to Cuban parents, saying, oh, it won't happen here, and they're dancing with the devil.
Savannah made a post today that she just posted something that she saw that was exactly what you're talking about. Just the little freedoms get taken away, and you have the apathy of what's going on now. She was attacked all day long for posting something that was basically trying to say, hey, wake up. Do you not see certain freedoms being taken away? Have you noticed this, this, and this? And there was reference, whoever wrote this article referenced the Holocaust. This isn't that, but you got to think about the people in Germany that just kind of like went along with everything. And, I cannot say in my 63 years that I've ever seen anything that remotely resembles what we have today. Since March 15th is when this whole thing started to me. Ultimately, it came down with the pandemic. Then you had the George Floyd riot.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going on right now. How can people still be that upset about that? It blows my mind. It's organized. There were pallets of bricks perfectly placed in areas where people could use them. This was so organized. People don't think that. And we know that we get attacked by musicians, fellow musicians who we could give a rat's ass about. I'm telling you right now, it's time to speak up, speak out, be bold with who you are. I don't care about musicians being all peace and love and all that. I'm not peace and love right now. I'm loving on America. I'm not talking about peace and love. I'm talking about freedom, keeping America the way I grew up, just like what you're saying. And I see it slipping away. We've got 3 little kids, 10, 7, and 4, and I see their future slipping away. It doesn't take some body that's a psychic to see it. You can just see what's happening right now. That's why we're passionate about it. We don't even give a flip about getting played on the radio. I would not play at Americana Fest if they begged me. My point is, we have come out to tell people, hey, don't worry about some people have to shut up because their job is at stake. We're independent.